how you doing? Hope you're doing alright. Quick disclaimer before I really get into this video. Apologies if my hair's a mess, if my setup's a mess, that I have a memory like a sieve, so I've got my notebook, but it's one of those days and I just need to film this video and it's more comfortable this way, so we're sat on the floor, I've got a notebook, it's going to be great. And then another disclaimer before I get into the topic of the video, which is that I am not a certified GP. I am not qualified in any way medically to help people with mental illness. This is just what I have taken from my own experience. If you're feeling anxious, depressed, anything that could, anything that could lead you to think you might have a mental illness, don't take this from me. Go and see your GP, have that all sorted, because, yeah, I'm not a doctor, I'm just a girl with a few issues who wants to help some other people who might be struggling too. Also, I'm going to include some links below, so if you need someone to talk to, then you can contact these links. And also I will link my Instagram down below, so if you wanted to message me and talk anything through, ask for help with anything. Obviously, like I said, I am not qualified to be a counsellor or help you in any way, but I am a person that you can talk to. I, to a certain extent, know what you're going through. Everyone's mental illness is different, so I will never be able to relate to anyone else on the same level, because I truly don't think anyone experiences the same mental illness, but I can listen if nothing else. So yeah, with all of that said, let's get into the actual video, which is my advice of dealing with anxiety at university. So I have done 2 years of uni now, I'm about to go into my 3rd year, obviously I'm moving for that, so that's slightly different, but also excuse the socks. But I wanted to kind of share what I've learned with dealing with, at points, quite severe anxiety over 2 years of university, because I'm not gonna lie to you, it's really, really tough. And I will say I am doing a more practical, hands-on degree. I am less paperwork, less exam-based, so I can't even begin to imagine if exams stress you out how much doing a different subject that is a lot more exam-based or paperwork-based, I can't even imagine how stressful that could be, potentially. So yeah, this is coming from a performing arts student. This isn't coming from someone who's doing a medical degree or anything that is really hardcore. There's things that I've picked up that help, and if these help you, that is great. Also, don't beat yourself up. If you have a mental illness, you try some of this stuff and it goes tits up, it goes completely wrong, and you're there why isn't this working? This is supposed to work. Not everything works for everyone, and just don't beat yourself up because you aren't the same as somebody else. It doesn't work like that. And you need to do what's best for you. But yeah, so I have my notebook again because so so the first thing that I have written down to do is, if you know that having a mental health specialist involved in your life and your experience of anxiety is something that helps you, I would recommend, obviously not as soon as you get onto campus, but I'd recommend within the first couple of weeks of uni, try and find out where the counselling, mental health services are. You don't have to use them, it's just if you need them, it's way better to know where they are than to feel completely stranded on your own halfway through term when it actually gets, shit hits the fan. and you just be completely stuck on your own and go, well, I don't know where that is, and at this point, you know, I'm supposed to be coping on my own. If I'd needed that help, I would have gone for it months ago. Just know where that is. You don't have to make contact if you don't want to. It's just always good to know where those people are, because in my experience, they have helped a lot in some really tough times. So, yeah. Also, yeah, so aside from mental health specialists as well, if you find, I don't know, I have a really good friend who also has mental illness, who is someone I feel that I can really open up to and talk to about what's going on, because I know that they can relate. If you can find someone like that in your life, that might be quite helpful to you. Or I will say with that, it could be difficult, and if it gets difficult, that's okay, but just be warned that, you know, you're both technically ill. You've both got to deal with that, but it helps to have someone on the same page sometimes. And number 2, okay, so my anxiety is very much based around stress. So I can do a whole video on my experience with anxiety if you guys need that, whatever. But my anxiety is very much triggered by being under copious amounts of stress. And one thing that I have been told by medical professionals, I have learned over my time at uni, is that doing your work ahead of schedule is a lifesaver. Yeah, it's a massive help with stress, because you're not doing it the night before, you're not putting immense pressures on yourself to deal with stuff which could lead to you having panic attacks or worse. It takes the pressure off. So if your anxiety, like mine, is stress triggered, you know that having piles and piles of work stresses you out, start early. It might feel like ag, you're like, oh, I'm a uni student, you know, everyone does their work the night before, but actually you might feel like the biggest dork in the world, but you'll feel like a less stressed biggest dork in the world, which is way, way more important than doing the full uni experience and doing it all last minute. Like, it's way more important that you're healthy than it is about fitting in that way. Number 3, number 3 is know what helps and know when things and people don't help, because that's a thing that can make life very difficult if you are still involved with those things when times are really not great. And I literally mean anyone. Like, it could be your parents, your best friend, it could be being in a particular situation. And I don't mean avoid it like the plague, disown them, don't talk to people ever, like, don't do that. However, if you are having a bad time, if you are anxious and you know those people are going to, or situations, are going to make that worse, just try to maybe avoid it. If a conversation with them about how they can help you is a thing that would help, then by all means have that conversation. But I know for a fact that, for example, I know people in my class that are lovely. I'm friends with them, they just don't help with my anxiety. That's not a thing that they can help. It's just a fact that some people actually, when they come close to me, when they are like trying to help, it's just more stressful than it is helpful. So yeah. Number 4, do things that reduce your anxiety. So this can be literally anything. If it's I know for me it's like mindfulness, so stuff like colouring in, knitting, doing stuff with my hands, that's really great, playing video games, anything that will, it feels like to you, I just enjoy this. This is something that I can sit down and just enjoy, and it will actually decrease my stress because it will calm me down and it gives me something to concentrate on that's not the thing that's stressing me out. Anything like that, whether it's getting out, staying in, whatever it is, that is amazingly helpful. Because it'll mean, even for a little while, because sometimes you're stressed about stuff you can't help, and just being able to take that stress off and be able to do something else that actually is just something you can enjoy is such a nice thing to do. Like, I've just been for a skate this evening, and just having that time out of being in the house in an environment that was stressing me out, that helped immensely. So do something that reduces your anxiety when you're having anxiety. I know it's difficult. I'll do a whole different video on this to do with what I call anxiety guilt. I don't know if it's a legit thing, but it's something I experience a lot. So I know that it may be really hard for you to think, I deserve to do this activity I find fun, this activity that I find relaxing. I know it might be really difficult for you to get to that point. However, it is something that will help you. So make time for it. Number 5? Five is keep tidy, which isn't easy for some people, is very easy for other people. It depends what kind of person you are. And also, this might not work for everyone, but I find that tidy house, tidy mind, which I find very difficult. I'm a really, really freaking messy person, as if you've watched any of my videos, you possibly know. I'm just all around in life a bit of a mess. So generally my space is quite messy, but when it's tidy, it helps a lot because it's a stress. Like, having a stressful space causes more stress, and when you've got anxiety, you don't need more stress, you need less stress. You need to be able to have a space that you can be calm in. So staying on top of your tidying on your good days is something that will help immensely. It just gives you a little bit more of a calmer space. You're not walking into a space that's cluttered, and it will sometimes just decluttering of space declutters the mind. And actually sometimes when you're tidying up, you just get to kind of think about stuff, and it gives you the reward of the fact that you've done something. Like, if that's the only thing, if it's a Saturday, you're having a really, really crap day, and you've just managed to motivate yourself to get out of bed and tidy up. You haven't got dressed, you haven't had your shower, you still feel a bit rubbish, you're debating eating. If you've tidied up, it will make your day 5 times better, because you will then be able to look and think, I have done something productive, and that will potentially allow your mentality to reward you with doing something else productive, and it can build and build and build and actually ease the anxiety for the day. I've found, obviously, this is just my experience, this isn't like everyone's experience, so if that doesn't help, then that doesn't help. But for me, it's a thing that I struggle to do, but when I do, it really helps. Number 6, don't bottle up little tasks and not do them because there are big things that seem important. So by this, I do mean stuff like just little bits, when you got little to-dos, like washing up, tidying, ironing, whatever it is, or like you might have little bits of uni work that you were going to start, little jobs that you've given yourself, and now you're stressing over it. But then there's big stresses, like an assignment that's due in, or something that's going down with some people that you know, and even if the big stresses are really concerning and really worrying, it will take a lot of the pressure off of you if you deal with some of the little things and don't bottle them up, because actually sometimes the little things are causing way more stress than the big things because there's more of them. And even so, like I said, if you're staying on top of your tidying, then you're not stressed over it, which is amazingly helpful. Numero 7. Okay. Number 7 would be have a structure, if that helps. If that doesn't help, don't do that. Don't beat yourself up for not having a structure, and don't beat yourself up for if the structure goes a bit haywire because you're having a bad day or you've gone out with your mates and it's spur of the moment. Don't beat yourself up over that. That's not what the structure is for. The structure is there so that if you are having kind of meh day, but you can still get up and do stuff, you can get up and do stuff because you've got something to stick to, and you can kind of structure your work time so then you can get in the fun time or the relaxation time, something that isn't uni work, and then you're not working 24/7. It's a thing that I struggle with and will continue to struggle with probably next year, is being able to put the work down and say that's enough. It is incredibly difficult to do, but you need to. It's not good to just keep working just for the sake of it. For me, when I got into a structure with my work right at the end of the year, it was great because I'd say I'm going to stop working at 11. That was my rule for 3 essays, was I've got to stop at 11. That was usually because I was going to bed at 12, which I know my sleep schedule wasn't great, but it would give me an hour of even just sitting watching videos, whatever, winding down, doing a face mask, whatever I wanted to do. It gave me an hour of doing something that wasn't working and an hour to de-stress over that work. And it also means you can structure it so you are doing your work as well. You're not bottling that up, you're not worrying so much over it that you're not doing it. You've got a structure, you say, okay, I'm going to do 3 hours on this assignment today, then I'm going to take an hour, 2 hours for me to cook, clean, look after myself, because you are important. Which leads me on to my final point, which is number 8, which is put yourself first. It is beyond important that you put yourself before anything else, and I mean literally anything. If you have anxiety, depression, bipolar, anything that is classed as a mental illness, the reason it is called an illness is because that is what it's classed as. It's the same as you need to give yourself some slack and recognise that it's called an illness for a reason, just like a flu is called an illness. Sometimes you need to look up, when you're ill, you need to look after yourself, and that doesn't change with a mental illness. It really doesn't. And I'm going to say this now, and I say this every time, even when I'm stressed, even when I'm depressed. I know this in the back of my mind, and it's something that I find really, really important, and that is no man, woman, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, job, grade, degree, nothing is worth your mental health. Your brain is something you have to live with from the day you are born to the day you pass away. This is here forever. A degree, you might finish that subject and go, screw it, I don't want to do that anymore. People come and go. You may not be with the boyfriend that's stressing you out forever. You may not actually need those people that are stressing you out in your life. They aren't, and giving up your mental health for someone or something else isn't worth it. Because at the end of the day, if you're walking around carrying all of that stuff in your brain, it's too much. And actually, you just need to recognise, I am important. And it's really difficult. You get to breaking point and then you'll be there I'm worth better than this, and I don't deserve to be putting myself through the treatment that I have been putting myself through. You will get there. I hope you don't, but you probably will. And you are completely worth more than being stressed and upsetting yourself over a grade. It's completely worth more than that. Yeah, so I again will link, I don't know what I'm linking because Cal is sorting that out, but I will link all of the mental health services I can find down below. So any of those numbers, emails, anything down below, contact them if you need somewhere to go. A lot of those places are absolutely amazing with dealing with the stuff. They're there for a reason, they're there to help. I will link my Instagram if you need to message, if you just need someone to listen, someone to just write out everything that is going on, because it doesn't make sense in your brain, but it makes sense on paper. Do it. I will read it, and if you don't want me to reply, that is fine. If you just need to get it out and you don't want to get it out to someone that you know, that is fine. And like I said at the beginning of the video, if you aren't diagnosed, if you're feeling like really anxious all the time and you need to go and see a doctor, I know it's scary, I know that it can, especially for example with me, I was frightened of going because I didn't want them to put me on pills, but they won't push you to do anything you don't want to do. Sometimes they just need to know, and they just need to be able to know if they can help you, because the last thing you want is for it to get worse. But anyway, I am going to do a completely different video for people who aren't sufferers of mental illness, or people who are, who just want to help other people who are suffering with mental illness. Because that's important too, and I recognise that it is super duper difficult dealing with someone who is very not okay but doesn't really know how you can help them, because I am that person. So I will try my level best to make that video for you guys who need that video, because yeah, it's really tough, especially if you are dating that person, if you're best friends with that person, if you're a parent, guardian, carer for that person. It is so difficult watching them go through it and not really knowing how to help. So I am going to try to make that video to help you guys out, especially relating to university stuff. But again, a lot of this can relate in the sense of you can guide people that you know to use the services that are provided for them, but only if they want to. I will stress now, do not push someone with anxiety or mental illness to do something they are not comfortable with. That is the last thing you need to do, because that you could be running the risk of making things worse. But anyway, I'll make that a completely different video. I love you all. Thank you so much for sitting through this, and I hope even if this helped one person that it helped. So yeah, I'll speak to you guys soon. Bye.